There's few places that I've ever been in my life where I feel more at home and comfortable as I do just being alone on a boat in the ocean. It took me kind of a long time to figure out that that's really what I wanted to do. At this point, I think I've really found the thing that I really enjoy doing, and have been fortunate enough to be able to turn it into a career. My name's Damon Walker. I'm a commercial fisherman and a charter boat captain here out of the Santa Cruz small craft harbor. And I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains just north of Santa Cruz. I grew up on a lake in Des Moines, Iowa. One of my favorite things to do with my friend was to fish from the second-story balcony where my bedroom was. We would go down to the shoreline, we would cast out our rods. I would put them in free spool and walk them back up to underneath my balcony where my friend, who ran through the house, would catch the rods as I threw them up to him. And so then we would set those rods up fishing for catfish with little bells on them that would ring when we got a bite. So we'd actually be just kind of hanging out in our room, playing video games, doing whatever, and we'd be fishing in the lake at the same times. One of my favorite things to do when I was a little kid was to rearrange my tackle box. A tackle box for a little kid is kind of like your first tools. And so I would go through that tackle box, and depending on what I was fishing for, it was bluegill or crappie or catfish or whatever, and I would organize them by size, by color, whether I needed to or not. I still kind of do that, more out of necessity now. I came out here to California originally. We were in the cannabis industry. That kind of went south. When I first started fishing for halibut, it was just for sport. And I struggled, like a lot of people do. It's kind of a difficult fish to catch. Over the years, I started to get better at it and started really just out fishing most of the people that I knew. At that point, the idea kind of crept into my mind that I could do this for a living. And so I started to commercially fish for halibut, and that is now my sole source of income. Everything about what I do is something that interests me. I like the preparation, the leader tying, the strategy, the fishing theory, the mechanics of the boat. I like the electronics that go into it. I think about it when I'm not doing it. It's not because I'm stressed or worried about work the next day. I literally enjoy almost every single aspect of fishing. The halibut fishery is almost exclusively at this point a rod and reel fishery. So it's just one at a time, catch them on a fishing rod. The rig specifically is a three-way rig. We've got a main line that goes to a three-way swivel. Off of the bottom is a leader that goes to a 1 to 3 pound cannonball weight. And off the third part of that three-way swivel, that goes to a dodger that creates action for a lure behind it. It's made to create a disturbance on the seafloor, so when that weight hits, it creates a vibration. When that flasher moves around, there's a visual attractant to that. The technique works because halibut are basically angry, territorial fish that will kill something in their area just because it's in their area. So basically what we're down there doing is, for lack of a better term, we're just trying to piss fish off. It's a pretty technical way to fish, and so it kind of keeps me engaged all day. I see these rods, they bite, and then start steadily kind of reeling that fish up. I want to keep the head shakes to a minimum. I want to keep the fish as calm as I possibly can. We keep their head under the surface of the water. I call it walking them up the stairs. If it's legal, pull the leader to the gaff. Gaff either in the belly or through the gill plate of the fish, so I'm trying to preserve the meat. Gets bonked, hooks removed. It's alive, but it's not conscious anymore. The ugly part there. Then the gills get cut. That bleeds the fish out while its heart is still pumping. So that all that blood comes out of the meat, makes it so that it's the freshest tasting meat possible, and also that it preserves for as long as possible. And then I put it in my cooler, which is a seawater slurry. If it looks like it's shorter than 24 inches or so, I lift it up by the leader, I grab the fish kind of gently. If it's short of my marks, then it goes back in the water. The whole process probably takes less than a minute. It's not uncommon for me to fish 60 or 70 days in a row, every single day. Well, I'll go out to the same exact spot. I will do the same exact same thing that I did the day before. Everything's totally the same, even down to the lure colors. And for whatever reason, they're not there. As someone who sells to a retail market, that fish I turn over pretty much every day. So if I don't catch fish, I don't have the money coming in. 2 or 3 days go along and I can't buy a bite out there. Literally no bites. Not no fish, no bites. Those are rough. You start to kind of question, am I doing something wrong now, or have I fell off? Have you questioning a lot of what you're doing, not just that day, but in general, like, what am I even doing out here? I left the harbor one morning and blew up one of those engines. A rod or a ring in the engine had exploded inside the block of the engine. It was unfixable. I had to repower the boat or we were done. Basically, I had to convince my wife to let me spend everything that we had on repowering this boat. It was very expensive. We were starting out from scratch. That takes a toll, and it takes a toll on my relationship with my wife, in that, you know, financially, during those times, we were pretty stressed. You know, we didn't have a lot of money. Sometimes I don't want to be out there. I'm out there to support my family and to pay my bills. It can get rough and it can get dangerous. But you do what you have to do. It's kind of commercial fishing. We got to be out there. The best way to cure it is to just go back out the next day. And then all of a sudden you find them again and all is right with the world. The Doormat Derby is a halibut fishing tournament that I put on here in Santa Cruz. It kind of started out as just a fun, family-friendly kind of community event. It's starting to kind of grow beyond that to a point now where we have a raffle that generates a nice chunk of money that we can donate to a charity. We have been giving it to All Waters Fishing Access Coalition. In the dead of night several years ago, some organizations tried to get huge areas closed down for fishing. They're called Marine Protected Areas, MPAs. They were basically going to shut down fishing access for all of Santa Cruz, out to about 13 miles offshore. It would absolutely decimate the community of commercial fishermen, charter boats, and the sport fishermen. The guys that started All Waters kind of heard about it and very quickly organized themselves to be able to oppose the MPA legislation, and actually flipped some really key people, the mayor of Santa Cruz, our senator here. and got them to kind of see that the science that these environmentalists were trying to cite to establish an MPA was kind of cherry-picked. Trenton Black was a commercial halibut fisherman, someone that I knew in the course of my work. The incident that took place, there was an intentional collision between two boats. One fisherman got on the boat of another fisherman. They started to fight. Trenton ended up in the water, where he was reportedly struck with an oar, and he ended up dying. The impact of his death on the fishing community was profound. Things can get pretty testy on the water. Commercial fishermen aren't competing for cool Instagram picture. They're trying to pay their bills. Now, unfortunately, we've seen with his case the extreme of taking it way too far. Everyone has an opportunity to kind of turn the temperature down. The fishery is healthy. There's fish in a lot of spots. We can all be nicer to each other out there. None of us were there. We couldn't help him in that moment. So we, as a collection of anglers that competed in the Doormat Derby, decided that we would take the money that we generated from the raffle and donate that directly to Trenton Black's family. You know, I could have another job where I made more money, but I would spend a significant amount of that money just trying to fish as much as I possibly could. So, you know, it kind of works out for me. I get to make my money, I'm supporting my family, I'm supporting a community, providing fresh fish. I really enjoy what I'm doing.
My relationship with the ocean and my boat is something that is very personal to me and hard to put into words, but I feel this quote from John Steinbeck describes it best. Some have said they have felt a boat shudder before she struck a rock, or cry when she beached and the surf poured into her. This is not mysticism, but identification. Man, building this greatest and most personal of all tools, has in turn received a boat-shaped mind, and the boat a man-shaped soul.